Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. I'm Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
Okay, this is episode 156, and this evening we will be tasting the Glengoyne
12yr.
And from there, we'll have our shout-outs get together. Our restaurant review being Helga's Haus und Bier. And then our smarter challenge being the review, or I guess discussion of Dune Part 1, Part 2. And we also tossed in the original 84 Dune as well. And also the book, if you listen to the book all the way or read the book all the way through. All right, before we jump in and get started, just a quick thank you and a shout out to all the people who watch us on YouTube and Rumble. We greatly appreciate all of you. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for listening and watching us. We do greatly appreciate that. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you like our content, we greatly appreciate that as well. Also definitely hit that subscribe button if you enjoy our content. For all of you who listen to us on the many different podcast platforms, we thank you for your support as well. So thank you for all those listeners and subscribers as well. We greatly appreciate all of you. And also leave some comments down below. We would greatly appreciate hearing from all of you.
Scotch Reviewed.
All right, well, we've done two Glengoynes in the not-so-distant past, one being the Glengoyne cask strength and the other being the 10-year. As a quick recap from our Glengoyne distillery notes, Glengoyne was founded in 1833 at Drumgoyne, north of Glasgow, Scotland. It's unique in the fact that it produces a Highland single malt Scotch, which sits on the Highland line, and with this their warehouses are just across the Highland line and actually are matured in the lowlands. So again, it is a Highland single malt Scotch that is aged in the lowlands, but it is a Highland single malt Scotch. The owners are the Ian MacLeod Distillers Group. They have one wash still and two spirit stills, one wash still, two spirit stills, for an annual capacity of 1,100,000 liters a year. A couple other little interesting facts, and you pointed this out last time. They are known for being the slowest stills in Scotland. This is one time when you're not trying to beat Usain Bolt, apparently, although I don't know that I ever want to be the slowest at anything. Their barley is only ever air dried, and their casks take 6 years to prepare. So they do take some pride in the preparation, the aging, the drying, the maturation, and the distilling of their spirits. I don't know if you want to recap anything about potential distillery tours.
Well, real quickly on their distillery tours, they have the collection tour and tasting. It's about an hour and 30 minutes long, and it has the tour of the distillery, and you get to taste 3 whiskeys paired with chocolate. That's 30 Great British pounds. That is an 18 and over type tour. They also have a fair and rare, fine and rare tasting. 50 Great British pounds, about 45 minutes long. Here you get a Tudor tasting of 3 single malt Scotch whiskeys from their fine and rare collection. Once again, it's 18 and over for that. Then there's the Malt Master Experience. This is one I believe we talked about before, that if you're going to choose one, this might be one of those ones you might want to choose. It's an hour and 30 minutes long. It does come with a distillery tour, but you get to create your own bottle of Highland single malt Scotch with this particular one. And that goes for 90 Great British pounds. Then they have the Glengoyne Tasting Experience. This is a Tudor tasting of 3 single malt whiskeys, 45 minutes long. You have to be 18 or over for that. And then they have the Secret Secret Stories and Summer Serves. This tour is exclusive to July. It's 1 hour and 15 minutes for all ages, and it's new for the summer of 2024. It is 20. It ranges, I guess, anywhere from 5 to 20 Great British Pounds. And then we have the Glengoyne Tour and Tasting. Once again, this is another one that ranges from 5 to 18 Great British Pounds. It's an hour and 15 minutes. And you get a guided tour of the Glengoyne Distillery, tasting of 2 or more whiskeys, and children are welcome to that one.
All right, and as was also previously noted, Glengoyne is regularly referred to as the most beautiful distillery in Scotland. They do use the Golden Promise barley, one of 2 distilleries, besides Glengoyne, Bruichladdich being the other one. Hey, anyone remember Octomore? That use that Golden Promise barley, which is low in yield but high in quality. The Glengoyne Burn is their water source, which flows from the nearby Glengoyne Hill into the distillery grounds before continuing on to Loch Lomond. And, we got to remember the geese.
The geese, don't they shut down because there's like too much geese poop?
Shut down for the transition, or the migration is probably the true word, of the geese, and they do support that piece. They do also have, I haven't seen a whole lot of numbers on this. I'm going to start looking more at this, but again, considered one of the most beautiful, or if not the most beautiful distillery in Scotland. More than 35,000 visitors a year. Could be a lot of reasons for that, for the fact that they're right there on the line, the Highland line with the Highlands and the Lowlands, but it would make for an interesting excursion.
That it would.
All right, some great tour options there. And we're going to break right into this. The cask strength a few weeks ago was a pretty good Scotch. I don't think we gave it the highest scores, but it also fared pretty well in flavor and color.
That was the black and gold one, right?
Yeah, right up there. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
It went down smooth, especially for being cask strength. Here right away, the Glengoyne, they've got that feathered appearance on their box. This one not as sexy, sturdy, or sophisticated as the cask strength, but the same bottle style, shape, texture, the bird again, or goose on the back. And not too bad. Drumgoyne, Scotland at the base. As we check the foil, much like the others, nice thick foil. Hopefully they won't disappoint with a cheap plastic top, but actually it is wood. It's stained black wood. Once again, thank you, with their information both stamped and pressed into it. That's pretty impressive.
It's real cork, right? Don't they usually do real cork?
And real cork. Man, they got a couple things right, and that's what we loved about some of their previous presentations as well.
Thank you, sir.
Ja, das Bier.
All right. Well, I guess with that, it's on to our tasting notes and our warp speed. Cheers.
Cheers.
This Glengoyne expression, which is the 12-year, I actually really do. I enjoy this one. I'm pleasantly surprised. In fact, I don't really recall my scoring on the last 2, but I would almost venture to guess that this might actually be my favorite of the 3 so far that we've tried. To begin with, the presentation. I did not think this presentation was as good as the previous one, which was the cask strength. I really did like that black and gold and how they did that one. However, this the red, and I think it's red and black, is done pretty nice. Although I would have liked to have seen that red and black also transition over into the labeling with on the bottle, but it didn't. So the presentation, I gave it a solid 4 out of 5. No big deal there. The coloring I put here as light amber gold. I did enjoy the color here, so I gave that a 5 out of 5. Now for the nose, I put lemon zest with vanilla, toffee, apple, and mild spice. Almost like the if I don't know. For me as a kid, I know like I used to eat the Quaker Oats instant oatmeal, the apple and cinnamon one, and this almost had like that, reminding me of that apple cinnamon Quaker, the Quaker Oats instant oatmeal, which I really enjoyed as a kid, and I enjoyed the aroma of this one here. And because I like the nose a lot, I gave that a 27 out of 30. The palate, I think the apple really did come through in the palate for me. So I had once again, you're going to see this as a common theme throughout this, but it had the apple cinnamon once again right there in the initial palate for me, which then translated into some toffee with hints of vanilla, which I really enjoyed and I dug that. And then right there at the end of the vanilla, so it went the apple cinnamon toffee, if you will, into some hints of vanilla. Then that's when like maybe a tad bit of the citrus started to peak a little bit, along with like the cinnamon kind of like popping back up. But that led into a finish that I thought was cocoa with toffee and hints of oak and vanilla, which once again I really enjoyed. I enjoyed this whole thing all the way through. To me, it had a nice mild sweetness throughout. The apple cinnamon played a very good, very big part from nose to palate to finish, which I really enjoyed. And once again, like I said, it kind of, maybe it's reminiscent of my childhood, but it seems to really remind me of the old the Quaker Instant Oats apple cinnamon cereal. So I really liked it, dug it. So the palette I gave 27 out of 30. The finish I gave 27 out of 30 for a grand total of 90 out of 100. Would I take this to a black tie affair? Actually, I think it's worthy of a black tie affair. I'm not sure what the price point is, but the box, the presentation with the box is very presentable with that red and the shiny red there. Once again, I kind of wish like the bottle transition with the box, but still the bottle itself is nice and has almost like to me like a classical sense. It has a very pleasant labeling with the black labeling there and stuff like that. So there's nothing too flashy about it. But it seems kind of quality with how they did their bottle there. So yeah, I think you could take it to a black tie fair. I think you can also take it to a game night. Does it have a place on your shelf? I say yes to that as well. Like I said, I was very pleased with this particular rendition or expression, if you will, from Glengoyne. I like this 12. I really did love the fusion of the citrus with the vanilla, the toffee, the apple, and the cinnamon. It played that whole theme from the nose to the palate to the finish seemed to play through all the way through. Like I seemed to have captured that all those scents, all those like flavors in all three phases of this Scotch, which doesn't seem to always hold true with most Scotches, where it doesn't seem to have like you get the flavors on the nose and then on the palate and then on the finish. But this one seemed like have it all the way through, which I really enjoyed. So good job, Glengoyne, on this one. I really liked it.
I agree. So I'm right there with you with presentation. There are some great things. It's not it's not a bad presentation. The red with red, metallic and flat with the black seal. I think that's the one thing they do on both the bottle and the box, the black seal and the info tag below it. It's a 4 out of 5. I loved the wood top. I loved the cork. The only thing missing for me a little bit would be a little bit sturdier box with a potentially better presentation as far as craftsmanship there. And as you mentioned, or bring in just a little bit of that red from the box onto the bottle so it ties in a little bit better. That is absolutely something magical that I believe Ardbeg's probably winning it recently as far as their changes with some of their different series, the anthology and others. But otherwise, a solid 4. Color is a beautiful gold, and I'm going to leave it simply at that. This is the most simple gold you can have. As they have stated, they are very much a natural, or they want to do well by the earth in sense. And this is a natural gold color, and it is all natural color. So it is great on the nose. The nose is pretty great to me as well. Honey, lemon zest, apple, dried oak, and it's like a sponge cake, that moist sponge cake that's super sweet. And what I hate to say, because there's no flavor I'm getting really from this of rum, but I'm thinking rum sponge cake, that cake that's absorbed some of that alcohol flavor. So maybe there is some hint in there, but otherwise the honey, the lemon zest, the dried oak, and the apple. Beautiful nose, 26 on the palate. The palate was the win for me by far here. And I love this palate. That toffee, apple, cinnamon, a teeny little hint of ginger mixed with orange. So you get almost the sweet and spicy there, and shortbread and malt. I get this sense of malt towards the end of the palate. The palate for me, a solid 28. I loved this palate. Finish. I think what I love most about the finish, and it's a great finish, is there is a hint of sherry, but it's not super strong. It's not spicy in the sense of it's a 43% ABV, but you're not feeling the heat. So on that finish, and there it is again, that hint of sherry or sherry oak, well balanced with, I would say it's a medium to long finish because of the cinnamon and spice, the ginger that come out with the toffee. I love it. The finish for me at 27. Interestingly enough, another 90 for me as well. So our points added up differently, but they ended up with the same result, a 90. I agree with you. I looked briefly at the notes while you were speaking. This is the highest rated of the 3. Far better. Like the 10 is shit compared to this. Okay, the 12 is the win. And even the cask strength with the great presentation, including the bonus point it got for the presentation because it got all 5 there, still scored 3 points lower than this did for us. So this is definitely the win. Black tie for me. I'm starting to transition. This one's tough for me because when I think of black tie, I'm thinking, what is it that I'm really speaking to myself? And so, hands down, if I'm, thinking
Octomore.
Yeah, Octomore, hell yes. The Macallan Classic Cut, really any Macallan, hell yes. This one's right on the verge. For now, I'm saying yes. But at the end of the day, really, when I'm thinking of black tie from now moving forward, I'm really saying this is something I want to be known for. And it's something I want these people to remember me for. I'm not afraid of them remembering me for this scotch. Even though the presentation's only a 4, the scotch is that good. So yes, black tie, absolutely game night. I believe this one was right around the $79 price point. So not terribly expensive for a 12-year. They do also make a 15-year, which I believe goes for right around the 120 mark, and a 25-year, which Total Wine supposedly has right now just under $900. So they've got some other expressions. The 10 was far less expensive. I think it was 59, 54, somewhere right in there. Don't waste your 54. Spend the extra 25. Get the 12-year. It is fantastic.
It's time for our shout-outs.
I've got no get-it-togethers that I'm going to throw out there, but I will say one shout-out. And the only reason I'm really into any basketball is because of my son, Aiden. But it's also impressive as we look at the March Madness going on. I will say congratulations to any team that made it. But goddamn, Gonzaga's been in it 25 consecutive years. That's an achievement. Congratulations. Well done.
Well, my get-together is somewhere along the same lines. It was also a congratulations to all the teams that made it to the big dance this year. And definitely a shout out to the two Colorado teams that made it, both University of Colorado, Boulder, which are my boys, gotta give them a shout out for making it to the big dance, and also to Colorado State. Little brother made it as well. So congratulations to all of them. And, I have no get-it-togethers as well this week. I just figured anything I really want to say, it falls on the political lines, and I'll take us probably way off track. So I'll just keep those at bay for the week.
Restaurant Review.
All right, this week's restaurant review. And Dad, I should give him a damn shout out for recommending this place, because I don't know that I would have ever found it. Although you had mentioned it had come across your purview on more than one occasion. And it is Helga's Haus and Bier Garden. Now, this is over in Aurora, Colorado, not far from the Aurora Mall. It is a German restaurant, beer garden, and deli. And from the outside, man, I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to be some little shithole. Hole in the wall, no big deal. The building was great. We did not go during a terribly busy time, so the exterior environment was actually pretty good. I really enjoyed that, and I'll let you speak to your dinner first.
All right, well, first of all, getting there, I think unless you kind of know where you're going, or you have like a pretty good GPS, it might seem a little weird getting to the actual restaurant itself in the parking lot. But once you're there, like when you see the building on the outside, it looks very like traditional German, which I thought was way cool. I mean, both Jesse and I back in a long time ago, we both took German in high school. I had German as a minor in college. And I spent some time in Germany, so it was kind of cool to see some of the German decor at this place on the outside as well as on the inside. I really did like the inside. I thought the atmosphere, the way it was designed, was done really well. So I'm gonna give like the outside good marks here. I'm gonna give the outside. Well, this is kind of weird because like the parking lot I didn't really care too much for, but I liked the exterior.
Outside of the building, right?
Yeah, I did like the exterior of the building. So I guess I'm gonna just round that to like a 7 between the parking lot and the building. The interior, because of like the decorations and all that and how they had it set up, I'm giving that a solid 9. The wait staff. The waiter, although when he did come around, he was kind of cool and he joked with us a little bit and he was really nice. However, he wasn't very prompt, and I don't think there was a really good handoff from the hostess to the waiter. So actually, the wait staff, a lot of potential there, but because of the way it went down, they're going to get a 6 on the waiting. The food. Okay, so here I think when we talk about German restaurants, we have to mention German beer because this place is a German restaurant which does serve German beer. They do serve it in the traditional steins of 1 liter steins and half-liter steins. So that's really awesome. There they have Paulaner, Warsteiner, Rotburger. So they have some like really good German beers on tap, which is great. And then they have some good traditional German cuisine to go along with it. You got your schnitzel, your sauerkraut and bratwurst, and it's they even have kartoffelsalat there. So, and then the brötchen. I didn't see any necessarily any like brötchen, but I think it was on the menu, which is basically like dinner rolls like that, like the way they make the bread. It's like a hard outside. It's almost like any kind of European, if you will, in essence, but it's like it has a hard outside on the roll, but it's like soft and gooey and so good on the interior of the roll. But any case, they had like a lot of traditional German food there. I wasn't like super hungry, but I did get, since we're at a German restaurant, I had to get a 1 liter of the Paulaner Oktoberfest, which is my favorite beer, favorite German beer. And then I wasn't super hungry, so I went with the bratwurst sliders, which came with 3 different like basically it's bratwurst on 3 different types of rolls and French fries. And other than the one aspect of me not being able to eat rye bread, the sliders were excellent. They're very good. And the fries were actually done pretty well. And so the food itself, I enjoyed a lot. I really want to go back there again and get like one of the other traditional like German dishes for an actual full-on meal. But what I had there food-wise was incredible. So I am giving that a 10. And I guess that's what I thought there was one other metric I usually score, but I don't remember what that metric would be. So
Value?
value. Ooh. It was a little bit more than what I wanted to spend, but that's probably because I got a liter of beer. So, and I also forgot I got the apple strudel, which was actually baked very well. Is done excellent. For like everything I got, I think it was a decent value. It wasn't like an exceptional value. So value wise, I'm just gonna give that a 7. Because I think there's some other places where you get actually like much better values, but for what I got, I was pleased with. But also at the same time, I wasn't really expecting to drop $60 on dinner either. So here we have 7 plus 9 plus 6 plus 10 plus 7. So that gives us a total of 7.8 out of 10. So I think it's definitely worthy visiting if you're in the Aurora or southeast Denver metropolitan area. Give this place a shot. It's actually really good. 7.8. I'm surprised at 7.8. It probably could have been higher.
I'm surprised your score is so low.
Yeah. And I really think it has to do probably more with the service and possibly even the value. Because I think the value, I'm kind of like...
It wasn't cheap.
It wasn't cheap. But also at the same token, I don't think like you're getting terrible food either. So I think the quality of food is kind of there. So I'm not exactly sure I was totally like fair on that either. But anyway, 7.8, that's what it is. I recommend it. Would I take a date there? Hell yes. Would I meet friends there? Hell yes. Would I go back again? Yes. Is it a destination? And I'm gonna say yes because there isn't a whole lot of German places for you to go. And if you can find a decent German place, which this is a decent German place, I don't know of any other really close by German restaurants to where we are. So if I'm craving good German beer on tap, or if I'm craving good German food, this makes it a destination spot for me.
All right. Well, much like Noah said, some great things here driving up. You're not wrong. It's in a parking lot, which you would not expect a restaurant to be buried in. And as we drove up, it is one of those things like, what the hell, what's around the corner? Like, is this going to be some old Taco Bell? And no, it wasn't. It was a pleasant surprise. They did have an exterior, not open the evening we went, dog-friendly patio, but they also had a beautiful exterior. So the exterior was great. From the environment, the exterior environment, I can't wait to go back. Like, I need to go back during the summer and like re-experience it. But I thought both inside and outside, the outside, the parking lot, it wasn't all potholy or anything. I was actually impressed by that. It wasn't a total shit show. So it was a nice parking lot. We weren't there terribly late to see if it was well lit, but it seemed like we were there late enough where it looked like there was actually probably some decent lighting. So exterior environment, I'm giving it an 8. The atmosphere on the inside, I absolutely loved. It was fantastic. There was great seating. I will say, the way that it's kind of set up is more of that probably European pub with the tall, high bar stools and the tables in the bar area, and then the actual restaurant area just around the corner. But for me, the interior environment, I didn't want anything else from it. We didn't go to venture to that part, but they have the interior deli that you can also visit. But the bar area was great. The restaurant area was great. I didn't visit the restrooms. How are the restrooms?
They're fine.
All right, so atmosphere for me, a 10. I loved the environment inside. I literally loved it because having not been to Germany, unlike yourself, and knowing that you were impressed was like, God damn, these people were legit. And I loved that. The service, this was definitely the weak spot. And I agree with you. I think the hostess without the mostest is the weak point. She failed to let our server know, because as soon as he found out, he came over and he's like, hey, I just found out I've been neglecting you. I didn't even know you were here. And it's like, yeah, well, shit, we want to drink. But other than that, like you said, he warmed up. He was kosher. Cordial, and by the end it was okay. Still a 7. There were some weird points with the service. And maybe this is because of the German influence, it wasn't as warm as I would have liked it, but the service still a 7. Food, man, I had Helga's big pretzel with cheese and bratwurst slices. I also had a side of their beer cheese, and man, all I can say is the pretzel was perfect. It was absolutely delicious. The soft dough was salty, everything perfect. The cheeses were fantastic. I think there were 8 or 10 slices. I didn't count. I guess I could pull up the picture and count, but delicious. And then the slices of bratwurst. So it had the cold cuts. In this case, it was slices of a couple different types of bratwurst, and they were also amazing. I am not a huge spicy mustard guy, but the mustard, just the teeniest little bit on the cheeses and the bratwurst, divine. I loved it. The food for me, a solid 10, no questions asked. I cannot wait to go back. I'm not going to say I'm like the biggest schnitzel fan, but I got to try it now. And the pretzel, the big pretzel with the cuts was right around 20, I think it was $22.99, maybe $24.99. Fantastic, worth every penny, because much like Noah, I wasn't starving for a huge meal. The value for me, because of the experience, the food, this could have been a 10. The one thing that brought this down to a 9, the value to me was a 9. If the service had been a 10, I wouldn't have blinked an eye ever at what it was. Like, the service really did knock it down a little bit, but the value for me, a 9. So my total is an 8.8. Right there with you. Would I take a date there? Absolutely. Great experience when I meet a friend there. Any day I'm in the area, I don't know that I want to drive more than half an hour to get there some days, but man, it is absolutely a place I'd love to meet a friend or take a date or meet a date. And destination, yes, for now it is. And not only because it's, like you mentioned, the only German place that's anywhere close, but because it was great. It was this little destination is the right word. It is this little place where you walk through a tree and all of a sudden you're in a whole different world. And that's what it was like going into this restaurant. Well done, Helga. I really enjoyed this experience. Now, here's what's most important. Noah didn't tell you the funniest part of the whole night, which is we are sitting there and we're drinking our beer. There was a table of younger adults, a couple years younger, to my right, his left, and they all got some beers. And at one point, I don't know how exactly it got on the table, if the guy really went and got it, or if he just ordered another one of their patrons a beer, a younger lady, a beer, and it just had foam for days on top. And Noah's response was,
"Oh, that's a lot of head."
And the guy's response was quite simply,
so one of the guys is like, "See, look, even that guy says that's a lot of head." And then the guy who, I think what he did is he had ordered another liter.
I think he poured his into hers halfway.
Yeah. And so he's like, "Well, I'm not a bartender. I'm a truck driver." And then my response was, "Oh, so that's roadhead." And then everyone busted up laughing. So
it was pretty great. And thankfully, Noah stopped there, because who knows where he would have gone next. But I could see it on his face. He wanted to keep going.
I think I could have kept rolling, but it probably
would have kept rolling, but it would have gotten...
It probably would have gotten a little dicey there near the end.
Colorful, for sure.
Definitely.
Smarter challenges.
This week's Smarter Challenge was to, time permitting, visit Dune, the movie 1984, Dune, the movie 2021, and Dune 2, released recently here in 2024. And then, if possible, enjoy any or all of the book from, originally, I guess officially the book is from 1966.
Something like that.
Because it was a two-part. And the first part was actually a series that rolled from 64 to 63 to 64. And then the second part came out in 65, but then the actual book came out in 66 is kind of how I understood it. But otherwise started being written and published in 63, but officially definitely was wrapped up by 65. And you, I think, have a greater appreciation for this movie and its longevity, because up until recently, I don't know that I really gave two farts.
Well, I guess I'll put it this way. I agree. I didn't really give two farts about it either. When I watched the original 1984 version of it. I do remember, and we talked about this, certain memories that we have as children and stuff like that, where my dad used to take me to see the movies in the movie theaters every other week. And that was one of the movies that he did take me to go see. However, I didn't have a great appreciation for it back then. I'm not even sure if I have a great appreciation for it now. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's when you look at it, I mean, they have the special effects are obviously it's from the early 80s. So you have to kind of, I guess, you have to take that into consideration. But you also have to look at how they did their, who was the director of it? It wasn't Stanley Kubrick. It was the other guy. Anyways, how the director did his interpretation of the movie or of the book.
David Lynch.
Yeah, and David Lynch actually he makes some great. He makes some great movies that are kind of mind twisting movies, if you will. But in any case, what he did focus on certain aspects of the book that the new movies don't. He did a little bit more. He spent a little bit more time setting up the story with the princess being the narrator, as she is a narrator in the book as well. And then kind of explain a little bit more about the spice and everything like that. And then also with the Spacing Guild, he spent a little bit more time on that. But then a lot of the substance of like what happens in the book, it seems like he kind of like fast forwarded, skipped some things, and then also kind of like smashed it all into like basically 2 hours. So like he spent a lot of time, like I think with a lot of fluff up front, even though he built up, like he was building that up. But I think when it kind of got all to the good stuff, like when the Atreides go to what's the name of the planet? I want to say Arachne, but that's not it. It's to Dune. When they go to Dune,
Anakin.
I don't really know. I probably should have wrote this down. But Dune, when they go to Dune, and then the Harkonnens, that slaughter them and all that stuff. That whole like point from when the Harkonnens kill the Atreides to getting the Emperor to Dune. Arrakis, yeah, to Arrakis. That part was really kind of scrunching there pretty in that first movie. And it was kind of weird, like with how David Bowie and stuff like that played Freed, I think it is.
Not David Bowie. Damn, what's his name?
Oh, Sting. Sorry. Sting, yeah. The way Sting
Although, what would David Bowie have done? It might have elevated it.
Might have been.
Sting did great, though.
I mean, it's an entertaining movie, but, it's like, what did you think of the 1984 version, I guess?
So, for me, the first and foremost thing I want to say is, for the time, it had a star-studded cast.
It did. It really did.
When we were watching it and you were telling me, oh, yeah, Sting's about to come up. I'm like, what? Sting was in this? Like, really? So you've got people like Kyle MacLachlan, Francesca Annis, Patrick Stewart, not even playing really, in my mind, a major role. But the guy ends up being, Captain Kirk at some point. Sean Young, Sting, Everett McGill, Alicia Witt, Virginia Madsen. Like, it had this star-studded cast. So first of all,
and that German actor too.
Yeah, like I loved it from the aspect of clearly they did not, they didn't take this Frank Herbert novel and not invest into it. And so they spent some money and they tried to get some, I don't know if you want to call it names or talent or both, but definitely some charisma into it. I agree with you. I haven't fully read the book. I have only seen pieces, but both of the movies are fully, all three of the movies in the long run are fully missing what books do really well, which is help one create connections between individuals. So we're seeing relationships build between comrades, friends, parents, and the likes, relatives, which you find out, oh yeah, you're my great uncle or whatever, I'm about to kill you. All these different pieces. The book does the book, from what I know, again, my actual book is on the way. So what I've experienced is audiobooks, which is tough because as I listen to audiobooks, I absolutely get the impression from the reader as far as which direction they wanted to take the writing. When I read myself, so often I take it a different direction. So with that, I've ordered my book, but I like fancy books and signed editions and leather bound. And so mine's not going to be here for another week or so. I will read this book. But the book, from what I heard, is much more descript in building relationships and connections, both good and bad. And that's another part of the beauty is you get you understand more of the friction between characters, not just the love between characters. And I thought the movie, you said it very well. They crunched a book. This should probably have been a really well done series into a 2-hour movie. And because of that, it didn't give me really what I was looking for as far as connections between people, more so than just a 1984 version of A Space Odyssey.
So that's 1984 version. Now we got Dune Part 1 and Part 2.
Yes, 2001, 2004.
So Dune Part 1 really takes you, I think, up to about like the half point of the book, maybe. And I remember when I watched that film, I was like, oh, this is actually really good. Like, this makes a whole lot more sense in some aspects than the 1984 version did. And because of where it stopped, right when basically Paul Atreides meets the I want to say the Frackens? No, Farrakins for shoot.
The ultimately the group with the governor?
The Sand People.
Yes, okay.
I want to say Frankins for Farrakins.
No, it's Fremen.
The Fremen, yeah, sorry. When he finally meets the Fremen. so once Paul Atreides finally meets the Fremen, that's where the episode 1 ends, or part 1 ends. And because of where it ended, that prompted me to read the book. And when I read the book, I was like, wow, this part 1 actually followed the book a lot closer than what the 1984 version of the movie did, but it still leaves out a lot of things too. Like one of the things that it kind of talks about in the book is how Paul Atreides is kind of, I think they're called the Manti or something like that, where they're kind of more like very analytical, very like mathematical and stuff like that. And there's a lot more emphasis on those characters than it was placed in the book. I mean, placed in the part 1. Also, part 1, I don't think they did a really good job of saying like how important the spices are,
or what it was even used for,
or what it's used for, or how the Spacing Guild is important to space travel, and how the spice actually kind of like fueled that aspect of it. But I thought the acting was done really well. The cinematography was great. The one aspect, and I think it kind of makes even more sense than what it did in the 1984 version, is that when you start looking at the Fremen, who are like basically a desert people, it does make sense that it would have more of what we might consider here on Earth, an Arab type of feel to it, because like usually it's like, I mean, you're not going to have a bunch of like royalty just like walking around in suits and stuff in a sand desert storm area, whereas you might have, you know, like how the Arabs live there, you know, in the Sahara and stuff like that. So I think it kind of makes sense how it might have more of like an Arab type of influence on there. But I really enjoyed the first part 1. Part 2 is like when all the action really starts taking place, because part 1 I thought they did great with Dave Bautista, and his character, and how which his character is Glusa Robin Harkonnen. And that's the other thing about the 1984 version, is they call it Harkonnen instead of Harkonnen. But anyways, his character, he led the Harkonnen troops and the whole assault against the Atreides, and he was kind of like the main governor of there. But then starting in part 2, he basically fails because he can't stop Paul Atreides or Muad'Dib, and here, that's another big thing between 84 and part 2 of the new movie, is they had like some kind of voice weapon in 1984's version, and in this in the new version they don't. But But anyways, I thought the action in the second movie and how it developed and how it showed it showed a little bit more importance of the sand and really the development of the religious aspect of prophecy versus things coming true. And I thought it was a great, well done movie.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 2021, 2024 actually kicks the pants right off of 1984 version. Now, here's the struggle. They had the technology. They had the time. They took twice as much time and then some to try to tell the same story. But in my mind as well, not that the actors and the actresses, like I said, for that time period, that was a star-studded cast. However, here in 2001 and 2021 and 2024, man, you've got Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
You've got Rebecca Ferguson, which, man, if you have any respect for any of her other films, I highly recommend some of my favorites are the Mission Impossible franchise. Zendaya, Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa. And then here are really two of the biggest wins to me. Josh Brolin and Javier Bardem. These guys, I mean, as much as Timothy Chalamet is great, and he is a sexy, anything he's going to touch for the next 10 years turns to gold. He is the new Tom Brady of movies. But Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem bring a different life. This is something that was genius by the casting and the directing, was bringing these two people in, because with them, their characters, their acting, their ability immediately creates some of that piece that was missing in the first one that I was talking about with the book, where they can create connections that you can't make up without reading, that I didn't get anywhere in the first movie.
Well, here's another one, like Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Who plays the Baron Harkonnen.
Yeah.
He does an excellent job. And you see him and his relationships and how he handles it. And then his nephew, Freed.
Yeah.
Played by the guy who plays Elvis in the Elvis movie. What his name is.
That guy stole the show for the moment, and I'm glad he died, because I didn't want to see his evil carry forward. But man, he did such a phenomenal job, and it was a beautiful piece of acting to see him in that role. Because yes, he went from being the most lovable man on earth, Elvis Presley, to the most hateable man in the universe.
Yeah, Austin Butler. Yeah, he played Freed Ruta.
Yes.
And his character, like the way they did,
perfect.
Yeah, and the way they did the planet that the Harkonnens are on, like the Black Sun, and that whole when he fought in that arena and everything. How impressive was that? It was all black and white right through there. And it kind of showed why these people are kind of freaks and why they're super pale and all that stuff.
I mean, you say freaks. I think that's one version. But I think more important is they did a beautiful job with their cinematography in the sense of that piece. But both before and afterwards, they absolutely, more than any other times in the movie, highlighted color. We're leading into this version of a because it had a black sun.
Right.
A black and white earth where there was no color, and then coming out of it again being color. It was well done, superbly directed.
Yeah, what did you think of the Bene Gesserits? The witch women.
Man, the only one I had any care for was Rebecca Ferguson. The rest of them, I'm like, please just die.
Really? I thought you would have liked the one that played, was it Lady Mary something or other?
Okay, so, I mean, you're not wrong there, but I don't, she's different because she's from a different planet. Now you're talking about...
Lady Margot Fenning.
Yes. He is talking about Christopher Walken's...
Nope, that's
not Christopher Walken. The Baron's daughter.
No, the Baron's daughter was Rebecca Ferguson. This is Leah Seydoux that was in James Bond.
Yeah,
she. I'm not sure who she's related to, but she's the one who went and tested Freed with the box, and ended up getting pregnant with his kid.
That will be something I have to research with the book, but I actually think she is related to the Baron.
And then, but the one that you're talking about as far as Christopher Walken, who is the Emperor, and I have kind of mixed feelings about him being the Emperor.
It was great to see him. He didn't do a great job.
Yeah.
This was not one of his better performances.
See, I thought the same thing. I didn't think that was one of his better performances, and I think because of I thought it was cool that he was going to be the Emperor.
So cool.
But then, when you see him and the way he talks and his mannerisms, I'm
just tired and old.
Yeah,
it was depressing.
It was maybe he wasn't the best choice for that. But Florence Pugh plays the Princess Irulan, or Irulan.
Irulan.
Yeah, Irulan. Yeah. I'm butchering everything tonight. But the other person who I thought kind of stole the show a little bit was the Shishkali, the friend of Zendaya's, where she at first was poking fun of Paul Atreides and all that, and then she became the spy who actually held out at the end. I thought she kind of did a good job there.
She did do a good job.
And I think she kind of stole a little bit of the limelight from Zendaya in some aspects. But honestly, hands down, I think my favorite character in part 2 has to be Austin Butler's. That was his name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Austin Butler. Feed Rutha. I think he did such an awesome job with that. It was just with his character.
He did do a good job.
And then the last battle scene with him and Paul Atreides with the fight scene with the knives.
It was all good. Mine still goes to Timothée Chalamet.
You think he did
I think he did his role justice, and I love it. And that's hard for me to say because I think Josh Brolin did phenomenal.
Oh, he did a great job too.
Javier Bardem really, to me, would be the best actor of all of them. However, the person who wins it is Timothée Chalamet, just because at the end of the day, he's the one I want to see in another movie. The rest of these guys, I loved what they did, and they absolutely brought a ton to this movie. It would not have been the same movie without them. I cannot imagine it. But he delivered, it would be and I hate to say this because she's not supposed to be the main star, or maybe she is. It'd be like any of the Twilight series without Kirsten. So it just is what it is. It's supposed to be the guys that are the stars. Nobody cares about the vampires, the werewolves at the end. It was the femme fatale.
Right.
Which literally kind of, I don't know about femme fatale. Maybe Black Widow.
So I guess anything else you want to touch about, these movies, anything that we didn't touch about that you want to touch upon?
No. Yeah, the only thing I would really like to say is great adventure. It was super interesting. Here's what I would say. This is the only other thing I'm going to touch about, and this is the personal piece of me, which we really don't have time for, but I'm going to throw it out there real quick as possible anyway. I went and saw this movie twice, once with my kids. Seeing Dune 2 in particular with my kids was super uplifting. It was super energizing. It gave me hope. It made me hope for a future. It made me want to do better for the world. Seeing it a second time without my kids made me think of all of the relationships in the movie. Again, I haven't read the full book, so I still have half a book to read and to fully understand. But at the end of this, watching it the second time, I'm like, wait a minute. What the hell is wrong with these relationships? Why won't this lady, who at the beginning gave him all the hope until he got where she really actually says she didn't want him to be, but we all know he needed to be there, and now she's not supporting him. Now Zendaya Chani's character is just walking away. Like she's gonna go ride some other worm. And it was just crazy to experience that. It literally gave me anxiety and stress in relationships in life, because at the end of the day, whether you're male or female, I do believe we all want our partner to support us, even when it doesn't always fan out the way we want to. And I know her situation was particularly screwed up, but the way it got screwed up and the way she walked into that, she created that situation. It could have been different. It needed to end the way it did, where he was not looking likely to be with her in the future, but she created that situation. He was happy to be with her forever. She demanded more from him, and when she got it, she lost him. And then she's pissed at him? I cannot. God damn it. All right, that's all I'll say. I'll get on my damn soapbox now.
I mean, we all knew he had to go down to the South, and we all knew, and he knew that if he went to the South, that he was going to have to start fulfilling the prophecies and that he would lose her. And she even forced it upon him, saying, you have to go to the South. And he's like, dude, I tell you now, if I go down there, it's going to be the end of us.
Everything will change.
And she's like, no, you have to. And then he's like, all right. And so he does what, he succumbs to
he listens to her.
He not only does he listen to her, but he listens to everybody and finally goes to the South. And everything he foresaw in his dreams starts to come true.
I fully believe every great man needs a great woman or a great partner. And with that, she was his great partner. And as much as he was listening to everyone else, it wasn't him listening to his mother or anyone else. It was him listening to her, and you could see it. It was killing him because he knew what was going to happen, especially after he drank. I love how they call it worm piss. After he drinks the kiss of death, the blue poison, and then he sees it and comes back and everything else. Man, he's like, there's one narrow way out. And he knew he was giving someone something they wanted, her, Zendaya. And at the end of the day, that's not, you can't have it both ways. And I'm not saying guys don't do this, but why is it so many times in movies and in life that I've experienced it? Women are like, you need to go find another job. Well, I went from making $200,000 a year doing this, and now I'm working twice as hard, making $20,000 a year. But God damn it, I'm happy. What do you mean you want to divorce me because I can't afford a house anymore? Right? When you said you wanted me to go do something else because I was miserable and you wanted me to be happy, what did you mean? You wanted me to make $500,000 a year? Maybe being twice as miserable, so you were happy? It's legitimate.
All right.
Noah's like, we got to move on.
So, I think it's a great. I think part 1, part 2 of the new movies are great. It inspired me to read at least book 1. I do have book 2 as well. I just haven't read the Messiah book, which I think is the second book in the series. Technically, it's
the Prophet of Dune.
Anyways, actually now there's something 17 books.
I don't doubt that for a second.
Because his son, the author's son,
Frank Herbert's just kept writing.
Yeah, it made a bunch of prequel books, and so now cool. What was book 1 is now book 16 or something like that. But in any case, great books. I think the movies are what inspired me to read the book and get a better understanding of the movie. I think everyone should read the book and also see the movie. I think both are great pieces of art and should be enjoyed by everyone.
Yeah. In 1966, Dune won the Nebula Award for Best Novel. So that's a big deal.
So say she, or he, or who, or them. I don't know who. But anyways,
Doctor Who.
I guess next week's stuff.
Next week's Smarter Challenge.
All right, so next week's Smarter Challenge, Jesse.
You got this, or you got the other crazy movie set?
No, we're doing this.
Okay.
So Jesse, in the middle of spring cleaning, found this game called Most Likely To, or Who's Most Likely To. And so what we're going to do a little bit of a spin-off here. It's going to be something kind of fun. We're going to, hopefully. He's going to pick two people, and I'm going to pick two people. So most likely, mine might be most likely Trump and Biden. So I'm not sure who his two will be.
You pick your two. I'll find my two. You got Trump and Biden.
I got Trump and Biden. He's going to pick two people, and then we're going to play this game, and we're going to decide who's most likely to do what, and then go from there. And so I think it should be kind of fun. It should be like a pretty, hopefully a humorous and pretty light-hearted episode next week. But with that, thank you everyone who watches us and listens to us on the many different platforms, whether it be Rumble or YouTube or the multiple podcast platforms. We thank all of you for listening and watching us. Please like, share, subscribe. If you like our content, leave some comments down below. And I think Jesse wants to read a sample card here for you all.
I'm going to exactly do that. I'm going to read one sample card as we get ready for next week. Remember, though, life is great. This is one of those things, though, that can make this game really hard when you're playing it with a group of friends, because you're picking who is the person most likely to be this. And
this is based off of Trump and Biden so far, because those are the only two names mentioned.
Number 28 is a basic bitch.
Biden is a basic bitch.
Agreed. We're in this queue too, though. Like when we're talking about the two I pick, the two you pick, it's also Noah and Jesse, so we can be in there too. So remember, life is great. Do not drink and drive. Drink responsibly. Remember, take time and make your life quality, and that's not always easy because sometimes disappointing one person to have the connection you need with another. My example would be I would definitely disappoint a kid or a friend if it meant I was supporting one of my kids, Amila or Aiden. I would do that every chance I needed to. Make sure you're making those quality times and moments for you, and that you're continuing to learn and grow.
And don't fuck with people's feelings.
Yeah, don't fuck with people's feelings. And until next week. Scotchman!
Cheers. We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.